Thank you everyone for being here tonight for our 22nd annual Faculty of Arts internship event. My name is Jade Perrault, for those of you who don't know me, and I'm the internship manager of the Faculty of Arts internship office. We are here tonight to celebrate the achievement of the Faculty of Arts students who completed internships this past summer, both here in Montreal and across the globe. Before we get started, just a quick note to mention that, as you probably have noticed, today's event is photographed and also recorded. So the recording will be available for those of you who will be presenting as well. And before starting the rest of our presentations, I wanted to give a quick acknowledgement that McGill University is located on land that is unceded. The Kanien'kehá:ka Nation, also known as the Mohawk, are the custodians of the lands and waters on which we gather today. It has been a gathering place for many nations, and we honor the enduring connections of Indigenous communities that maintain with their past, present, and future. This evening, you'll hear directly from our students about their accomplishments during their internships, the impact they had in their host organizations, and how these experiences helped shape their goals and their future. And without further ado, I will introduce our first speakers. Please help me welcome Rafay and Haya, who interned with the UNHCR in Montreal and Ottawa.
Hi everyone, good evening. My name is Rafay. I'm a U2 student here at McGill studying Canadian Studies and Political Science. This summer I had the privilege of interning at UNHCR at their Canadian branch office in Ottawa. From May to August, I worked on the Communications and External Relations team, and it was truly a once-in-a-lifetime experience working with some of the most generous mentors and incredibly dedicated and talented team. The Communications and External Relations team in Canada works to raise awareness about refugee issues, build public support, and strengthen partnerships with government, media, and civil society. It was especially eye-opening time to be there with rising displacement, growing anti-refugee sentiment, and global funding cuts making UNHCR's work more vital than ever. I was able to gain experience across a wide range of areas, including communications, media monitoring, press relations, engagement with government and civil society, and public outreach. My recurring tasks included compiling and sharing daily press clippings with UNHCR staff across Canada, and being in charge of managing UNHCR Canada's social media presence across all platforms. Beyond these recurring tasks, though, no 2 days were ever quite the same. One day I might be drafting press releases or helping coordinate public events. Another, I would be helping external relations work. And the next, I would be interviewing former refugees across Canada and writing their story for UNHCR's website. One of the most memorable parts was helping lead our World Refugee Day campaign, where as part of my duties, I secured the lighting of landmarks across Canada in UNHCR Blue, seeing landmarks such as the CN Tower, Niagara Falls, BC Place, all lit in UNHCR Blue was such an incredible moment that I will never forget. Like many students, I'd always dreamed of interning at a UN agency, but as I entered university, I soon realized that securing these positions presents significant barriers, from the highly competitive application process to the prohibitive cost of relocating to another city for work. This is where the AIO support became crucial. Through AIO's partnership with UNHCR that makes these opportunities accessible, to their support throughout the application process and throughout the internship, through the generous funding which I received from Gail Eakin through the Gail Eakin Canada Internship Award, the AIO made this dream possible. I genuinely cannot thank the AIO enough. They're truly what makes McGill so special. They're such an important part of this university, and so I'm really grateful to them. For anyone thinking about applying for opportunities through the AIO, I have a couple of pieces of advice. First, just go for it. I almost didn't apply for my internship because I didn't think I had a chance of being selected. And so really, now that I'm reflecting after completing the internship and having had such an incredible summer, don't be the one to count yourself out. You never know what might happen. Second, be as genuine as you can be in the application process. Don't try and write the quote-unquote perfect application based off of what you think think other people want to hear. Be honest about your story and why you care about the position and work that you're applying for. I think my application personally stood out because I was very candid and authentic about my background, experiences, and motivation for applying. Lastly, don't worry if you don't have direct work experience for the role you're applying to. Instead, focus on how the skills you've gained from clubs, volunteering, and community work can translate and strengthen your commitment to that role. In many ways, that experience is just as valuable as formal work experience. It all comes down to how you highlight it within your application. All in all, this experience has shown me that the gap between you and your dream internship is likely much smaller than it seems. Sometimes all it takes is deciding to take that leap of faith and applying. If you have any questions, please come up to me afterward. I'd love to share more about my experience and give any more pieces of advice. Thank you so much. And now I'd like to introduce our next peer, Haya, who also interned at UNHCR.
Hi everyone, my name's Haya. I'm in the Honors Political Science program with a minor in World Islamic and Middle East Studies. I am in third year, which means unfortunately this is my last year and I will not be able to apply for an AIO posting next year, but if you can, please go for it. This summer I had the honor and blessing to intern at the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees, so UNHCR, here in the Montreal office. This meant I was part of the protection unit, which is essentially the team responsible for ensuring the rights of refugees, asylum seekers, and other persons under the mandate of the UNHCR align with international law through policy-oriented work here in Montreal, specifically with the Quebec government. What I learned from this internship is beyond what I can put in a few bullet points on a resume. Sure, I can say I learned how to use WordPress, I got better at coming up with policy recommendations, Excel, data management, but most importantly, I learned how to deal with how to help people and to work with people. As a protection intern, I got to pick up calls from people looking for information on the asylum seeking process, and I got to accompany my internship supervisor, Johanna, who's here with us today, and he let me tag along to meet with government partners, which showed me once again that people are at the center of this work. One challenge at the beginning of this internship was the emotional toll of receiving calls from people who are in situations of distress. Even though it's not the same as being in the field, it is definitely one of the challenges of humanitarian work, especially today with the multiple prolonged conflicts in the world and political instability around the world. Throughout this internship, I learned to put a wall between myself and the distress in the world, while it was hard, in the name of being more helpful. If you're thinking how to start your search for your summer internship, I started mine during the reading break in October 2024 in the library with an Excel sheet containing 43 internships all over the world, applying via cold emailing, online platforms. I even tried networking, but the tabs always turned to pending answer or rejected. And every time I got a rejection, it was because I was not part of a recruitment program, which usually takes the weight off of recruiters and host organizations to deal with unpaid internships and ensure that interns are paid in other ways. This is why I'm beyond thankful for the AIO's organization of these internships, and most importantly, donors who make it possible for us to do our internships without worrying about expenses, without having and for even making it possible to get the opportunity. So thank you, Ms. Wendy Patton-Keys, for not only making my internship affordable, but also making this opportunity possible in the first place. You're gonna hear this a lot, and you've probably heard it before, but if you want a tip on making your application good, you have to have a tailored CV. But by that, I mean try to show that you actually care about the people that you serve, in this case, refugees and asylum seekers, because gluing on anything that you did over the year, an extracurricular, is not going to cut it. Showing through, for example, volunteering, you have to show that you care. Actually working with the people that you serve is important to show and not tell that you do care. So the AIO services supported me in ways I could not imagine. I was on exchange at the time I was applying, and I remember attending the workshops on the train with the time difference and keeping the advice that was given to me on how to highlight my experiences, my extracurriculars, in a way that was good and not to speak too much or too little during the interview. And as for the AMI Mentorship program, it was essential, especially as we approached the deadline. When I was panicking, I felt like my resume and cover letter weren't good enough, but thankfully my mentor, Ivan, helped me and reassured me. So thank you to everyone in the AIO who has created this ecosystem for us and made it less scary to apply for internships. Thank you to my great supervisors who have accompanied me throughout this journey, who have let me get out with this amazing experience. The AIO has a wide variety of internships, so you can discover what is for you. And I know more than ever that this is what I love. I could not think of myself doing anything else for the rest of my life. I could not have thought of a better place to start my professional career. Thank you so much. I'll pass it on now to our next speaker, Carissa Tran.
Dear Arts Internships Office students, faculty, staff, and donors, my name's Carissa. I just entered my 4th year this fall, and I'm pursuing a joint honors degree in philosophy and art history. This summer, I had the marvelous opportunity to intern in communications and marketing with the McGill University Health Center Foundation, located here in Montreal. It's in that really big, colorful building connected to the Vendôme station. You've probably seen it before. During my internship, I gained deep and meaningful insight into the teams and networks behind the MUHC Foundation's philanthropic efforts. I was welcomed with open arms and quickly integrated into the team, so my roles were varied. From designing promotional material for the Foundation's largest fundraising gala of the year, to connecting with donors, patients, and doctors at events. I learned an incredible amount about stewarding professional relationships, building a healthy work culture, and most of all, what it means to do work that is meaningful, kind, and human. But before I got to do all of that, I spent the winter semester deep in preparation. This was my first year applying for and securing an internship, so I'm very happy to share a few practical tips on how it all unfolded. I found my internship through the Arts Internships Office website. Before applying to the AIO, though, I had already applied to many other internships and spent much of my spare time researching. So because of that, I strongly recommend applying to multiple internships and taking risks when you apply. As we've said before, don't hesitate to apply to your dream internship, even if it seems prestigious and out of reach. Even if you don't get an interview, the process itself will help you learn about yourself and create an intention for the way that you want to move through the professional world. Career and planning services were also a game changer in my applications. I leaned heavily on their CV and cover letter resources, and my career advising sessions gave me invaluable feedback, not only on my applications, but also on my overall career direction. In preparing for my interview and later my internship, it was incredibly helpful to reach out to last year's intern. The AIO provided me with her contact information, and I wrote to her to ask her about her experience and preparation tips. I'm incredibly grateful that she answered and later became my friend, colleague, and mentor at work. Throughout my internship, I felt supported not only by my host organization, but also by the AIO. It was wonderful and to be a part of a network of interns with whom I could share my experiences and to have resources like workshops and advisors at my disposal. I was constantly learning from leaders in the fields of philanthropy and communications. I took away from their work that every word that you say can have an impact, and every relationship that you make can make a difference. I aspire someday to lead a team and have an impactful career. And in that career, my goal is to carry forward the importance of relationships so that my impact can always be a positive and personal one. Of course, everything I learned this summer would not have been possible without Mrs. Braithoup's generous award, which allowed me to pursue this opportunity. Mrs. Braithaupt isn't here today, but her generosity and support have made the kind of impact that I aspire to myself. With that, it is my greatest pleasure to congratulate this summer's interns for their incredible accomplishment and to introduce our next speaker, Henry Maidoh.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Henry Maidoh, and I'm a U3 honors student in political science and international development. This past summer, I had the honor of interning for 2.5 months at the Ghana Center for Democratic Development in Accra, Ghana. As a social accountability and knowledge management intern, I contributed to the Ghana Cities Monitor Project, or GCM, an initiative designed to provide timely, comprehensive data on service delivery and quality of life across urban Ghana. One highlight was traveling to the Ashanti region, where I co-facilitated focus group discussions with local duty bearers and civil society leaders to contextualize performance data, produce sector-level analyses, and draft policy recommendations for our final GCM report. Beyond that, I supported the international desk by attending high-level panel discussions on the implications of the Alliance of the Sahel States withdrawal from the Economic Council of West African States, also known as ECOWAS. Through this experience, I was given the opportunity to meet and connect with tenacious youth leaders and inspiring government officials, as well as the license under the West Africa Democracy Solidarity Network to produce a comparative outcome document between the European Union and ECOWAS, kind of highlighting key lessons in which each institution could draw from the other. Now, for those of you preparing to begin your own internship journey, I'd like to share a few experiences or a few lessons from my experience. First, finding the right opportunity often begins with finding the right people. I learned about the CDD internship through my mentor, Abdelmeguid, a past AIO intern whose guidance has shaped both my personal pathways and aspirations, but also my personal outlook. Having a mentor who can share their wisdom, challenge you, and celebrate your successes with you is invaluable. And I encourage you all to seek those relationships through the AIO Mentorship Initiative. Second, preparation is everything, especially when your internship takes you abroad. The AIO's pre-departure course was an incredible resource, providing practical guidance on everything from vaccinations and insurance to accommodation and cultural adjustment. These resources ensured that I could step into my role prepared, confident, and adaptable. Finally, never underestimate the value of AIO's workshops and advising. For me, the cover letter workshop was particularly transformative for me because I knew I had the experience to be a strong candidate, but learning how to articulate it clearly and compellingly made all the difference in securing this opportunity. To conclude, this internship has been nothing short of life-changing. It has strengthened my commitment to a career in international law with a particular focus on human rights and policy advocacy across the African continent. I'm deeply grateful to Alan A. Hodgson for making this experience possible. His gracious and prestigious award allowed me to fully immerse myself in this internship, embrace the beautiful Ghanaian culture, and grow both professionally and personally. I leave this internship better equipped, more informed, and more grounded in my purpose to create meaningful change. I also want to thank the AIO for believing in students like me who are eager to push the status quo. With that, it's my pleasure to pass the floor to my fellow intern, Alicia.
Hello everyone, my name is Alicia Granger and I am currently in my final year at university at McGill. And I'm currently completing a double majors in economics and international development studies. And this summer, I also had the incredible opportunity to intern with CDD-Ghana in Accra. During my internship, I supported several of their desks, namely the West Africa Election Observer Network, the International Desk, the West African Democracy Solidarity Network, the Gender Desk. I also contributed to the security and corruption desks. And working across such diverse thematic areas exposed me to a variety of tasks and enabled me to develop essential professional skills. Among my responsibilities were drafting concept notes, term of references, executive reports, and even preparing a research proposal for a submission to a grant. One of the most memorable experiences I had was contributing to their work on promoting electoral integrity in Côte d'Ivoire ahead of the upcoming presidential elections. And this topic was particularly meaningful to me as the topic inspired the research paper I'm currently writing under the supervision of Professor Franck Rimard, in which I compared the presidential elections in Ghana and Côte d'Ivoire to determine the variables that influence the probability of post-electoral violence. Working with CDD-Ghana has not only strengthened my desire to pursue a career in international development, particularly in development economics, but it has also sparked an interest in working in policy and research. I would not have been able to complete such a remarkable and rewarding internship without the support of many actors I would now like to thank. I would like to thank, of course, the Arts Internship Office for making the entire process, from searching from the internship to applying, so smooth and so straightforward. And my advice to anyone who's interested in finding an internship this summer is to make the most out of AIO's resources. Their website is a true gold mine. It lists current postings, shares the experience of former interns, and even allows you to become a mentee and be paired with students who share the same professional interests as you. Having had the opportunity to talk to the previous interns motivated me to apply to this internship in the first place. I would also like to take this opportunity to thank the entire team at CDD-Ghana and to my direct supervisors for making this experience truly remarkable. And lastly, I would also like to express my sincere gratitude for having received the Faculty Arts Action Plan to address Anti-Black Racism Fund, which made it possible for me to fully participate in the program, discover Ghana, and immerse myself in its rich culture. You can see right over there just how happy I was there. So sincerely, thank you for this experience, and I hope that many of you get to have such a great opportunity. And now we'll hand over to Kiara Gilroy, who interned for the organizational committee for the 2027 Tahitian Pacific Games. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Kiara Gilroy. I'm currently in my second year at McGill, studying political science and double minoring in sociology and anthropology. And this summer, I had the privilege to intern at the organizing committee for the 2027 Pacific Games. In sports operation, I worked on competition schedules and sport publications, and I had the chance to collaborate with the different international federations as well as the Pacific Games Council. I was drawn to this internship because it allowed me to see politics through the lens of sports. As a student athlete, I see sports as more than competition. I see sport as a way to drive community, cooperation, and change. And this role in this internship gave me the chance to explore that belief in practice. Looking for an internship and questioning what I actually wanted to do for my summer, I reached out through my network, asked my friends, telling them that I wanted to align my passion for politics and sports. And they suggested I look into sport management. I reached out to a few organizations and eventually got put in touch with my supervisor through my track and field national team. Then the award application and the AIO pushed me to pause, reflect, and articulate why I actually wanted that internship in the first place. Throughout the entire process and all the way during my internship, the AIO was such a great resource. The workshops, the check-ins, and the constant support gave me the tools to prepare and most of all, the confidence to step into this role. I was truly fortunate to have a mentor in my supervisor, Charlotte Janton, who not only trusted me, who not only welcomed me, but gave me the responsibility to learn and to do something meaningful. It truly turned this internship into a meaningful experience for me. From this opportunity, I gained practical insights into Pacific governance, and most importantly, a clearer sense of direction. As a Pacific Islander, I've realized how easy it is to underestimate the reach of our voices. And this experience showed me how collaboration truly bridges and how it goes across borders to create real impact. Finally, I'm truly honored to have received the Susan Casey Brown Award for International Mobility. And I want to sincerely thank Mr. Brown, Mr. and Mrs. Brown, for making opportunities like this possible for students like me. Finally, thank you to the AIO, especially Jade, for your constant support. This experience not only shaped my academic journey, but also how I see my role as a Pacific Islander in global conversation. Thank you so much, and I'll hand it over to Nikhil now.
All right, good evening, everyone. My name is Nikhil Raman, and I'm a third-year econ student, joint honors econ and mathematics student here at McGill. So this summer, I had the privilege of working with my macroeconomics professor, Professor Francisco Alvarez Cuadrado, where we cleaned, aggregated, and analyzed sectoral-level macroeconomic data. And in the end, I built a comprehensive data set that tracked economic productivity across different countries over time to help understand economic growth. Today, I'm going to walk you through my experience applying for ARIA, give you some tips and tricks on how to apply, and also talk about all the ways that I benefited from it. One thing I want to emphasize during my search was that finding an advisor didn't come easy. I sent out countless emails to profs that I knew, and many couldn't take me on or didn't even know anyone who could. Just like the ruthless job application process that many of you have been through, it's all about a numbers game. And it gets a lot easier the more you maintain connections with all the profs from your classes. Obviously, there are classes that you don't actually like, but in the ones that you are passionate about, it's really good to just even ask questions or show up to office hours just once or twice, just so they know who you are, and that really gives you a leg up in asking your professor for research. Just for an anecdote, my macro class was at 8:30 in the morning last winter, and I braved the cold every morning, walked down to Burnside Hall, and showed up, asked questions, and was engaged. And so when I asked Francisco for research, without a doubt, he gave it to me. So it goes to show all the drowsy mornings actually paid off, and you should show up to your 8:30s. Once you have an advisor, I have some tips for writing your proposal. One thing that really helped me was having friends and people from different faculties review your proposal. It always helps to have a second pair of eyes, and also it helps you not get too caught up in the jargon of writing a proposal, and it really helps articulate and convey the value of your project to somebody who's not in the field. Because I could sit here and talk about purchasing power parity or the Geary canvas method, and you wouldn't know why it's important. But it's really important to be able to convey that to other people. ARIA was absolutely beneficial in advancing my career path and academic goals. Having solid research experience as an undergrad is an asset that's opening so many doors to me even right now as I apply for jobs next summer. It allows me to showcase technical skills like programming and show my academic capability alike. ARIA is right now the centerpiece of my resume, and it's really nice to have hands-on experience with the research that I can talk about during interviews. I have a project with files, visuals, things to discuss, things like that. And it helps open doors to jobs like research analyst, data scientist, or even things in economic consulting. Finally, I'd like to acknowledge all the help I got this summer with my project. First, to the Arts Internship Office for all their support, organization, and the sense of community they gave this summer. Because doing research was very isolating, it was nice to have events to go to and people to talk to and share some of the experiences with. I would also like to thank Professor Francisco because he really gave me the opportunity here and trusted me to work for his project, and I really value that. Finally, I'd like to thank Mr. Mark Gallup for graciously funding this project. It wouldn't have been possible to stay in Montreal and have meetings and work without the funding that I got. And thank you very much to everyone else for listening. I'll hand it off to Jade now.
Thank you to the first half of our speakers and to all of you again for being here. So I'll quickly mention, again, I think they're doing a wonderful job at explaining the AIO's resources, and I'll go very briefly through what we offer for those of you who are newer to the office. So as mentioned, we offer a diversity of resources from internship, funding, training, and mentorship. So again, I think speakers are speaking for themselves and the benefits of our events and workshops, but our timeline, I think, really speaks on the diversity of events and support that we offer, not only before your internship, during, and as well as afterwards, as events like this one to reflect on your internships. So again, for those of you who are newer to the AIO, I really invite you to come to our upcoming information sessions where we'll give a lot more details about deadlines and processes for you to be the next intern in summer 2026. As Nikhil just mentioned, our students who are interested in research programs, internships, we have our event coming up on October 21st in the same building in the ballroom, where you'll get to hear from all the research projects from our ARIA interns this summer. So I really invite you to save the date for that event as well. You can find all of the information on our website, which again, many have referred to, and I really invite all new students to come to our office in Leacock. I'll give more details at the end of the presentation as well. And our mentorship program, so is, as many have mentioned, it is open. If you are a mentor and you haven't signed up, please do. We would love to have you, but especially for mentees and students who are newer to the internship office, again, from other people can attest, it's a really great way to get introduced and not only come talk to our staff, but have a one-on-one relationship with a past intern that is really able to share their advice with you. We're also joining the beautiful McGill Mentorship Network platform, so it really elevates the entire mentorship experience. So we're also navigating, exploring this new platform, but I really think this is going to help having better matches between mentees and mentors. So I really invite you to check out this initiative. Again, many ways to stay in touch. Sign up to our listserv to get email reminders, social media as well, and again, our drop-in hours where you can get one-on-one advising. So again, I can answer questions afterwards, but for sure if we sit down, we can have a better conversation about your goals for the upcoming year and summer. And I will now hand it out to our next speakers, Illia, who completed an internship in Vienna. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Illia Mehr. I'm a U3 student studying honors political science and minoring in French language and literature and world Islamic Middle East studies. This past summer, I had the honor of working as an intern in Vienna at the permanent mission of Canada to the Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe, also known as the OSCE. Each day involved heading to the Canadian Embassy and to Vienna's Hofburg Palace, representing Canada and reporting on the OSCE back to Ottawa. Through this work, I gained insight into Canada's foreign policy, the strengths and tensions within Western alliances, and the day-to-day responsibilities of diplomacy. I prepared reports and briefings and contributed to the mission's work as a full member of the team. The OSCE's 3 dimensions exposed me to critical issues, namely arms control, key agreements like the Helsinki Final Act, the Vienna document, and the broader security framework shaping Europe and North America. What I had studied in classrooms, whether it's history, whether it's IR theory, came to life before my eyes. Working within Canada's public service, I also witnessed how a new government in Ottawa affects policy and the shifting landscape in the international order, given the most recently elected US administration. That's how we reshape our collective priorities abroad. I also learned the devastating impact of Russia's war in Ukraine and the urgent security challenges our world faces today. I first discovered this internship, like many of you, on the McGill Arts Internship Office website. To apply, I streamlined my resume, wrote a cover letter, and worked with career planning services, who really helped to make my application as strong as it could be. Once accepted, I navigated the program's requirements, finding a professor to supervise my research essay, completing the academic work, and arranging my visa with the Canadian mission in Vienna and the Austrian embassy in Ottawa. This did require a quick trip to Ottawa to complete my visa application. Before I knew it, April had arrived, and I was preparing to move alone to a country I had never been, speaking a language I had never heard, unsure of what awaited me, but I was ready to take on the challenge. I was mesmerized by Vienna's beauty, its crisp summer air, the city's beautiful traditions, its awesome vineyards, its innumerable number of palaces, and an incredible public transport system. And slowly but surely, I felt more in place being somewhere otherwise estranged. I met wonderful interns from other countries, made friendships so strong that I am sure will last a long time. This experience was unique, educational, slightly depressing, and inspiring. I was inspired by Canadian diplomats whose work bring a respectable and honorable image of Canada to the world. I, an immigrant to this country, an outsider, with having neither English nor French as my mother tongue, was able to represent Canada and its priorities, even if it was for such a short amount of time. Only in Canada could this experience have been possible for me, and I am honored for it. I would like to thank Mrs. Gail Eakin for her generous donation to the Arts Internship Office, and I would like to thank the AIO for their wonderful work and for this incredible opportunity. Now I'll hand it over to Abigail Blythe, whose office was practically across the hall from mine, actually, who interned for the Permanent Mission of Canada to the international organizations in Vienna. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Abigail, and I'm a U2 student pursuing a joint honors in History and International Development Studies. This summer, I had the absolutely incredible opportunity to complete an internship with the Permanent Mission of Canada to the international organizations in Vienna, or VPERM, which represents Canada at the United Nations and other multilateral bodies headquartered in Vienna, particularly the International Atomic Energy Agency, IAEA, the Comprehensive Nuclear Test Ban Treaty Organization, CTBTO, and the UN Office on Drugs and Crime, UNODC. During my internship, I largely covered Canada's nuclear portfolios on the IAEA and CTBTO, which align well with both my interests and previous academic knowledge, as I wrote several research papers for history and political science on international nuclear security. One of the highlights of my internship was attending the IAEA Board of Governors in June, where I also had the chance to cover several extraordinary sessions due to the attacks on nuclear facilities this summer in Iran. I also covered negotiations on resolutions for the IAEA General Conference, which is happening as we speak in Vienna, and funding for the CTBTO's international monitoring system, which ensures that no nuclear test can ever go undetected. Beyond nuclear security and safeguards issues, I was also struck by how the United Nations work on nuclear issues contributes to the Sustainable Development Goals, from food security to nuclear medicine to emissions-free nuclear energy. This was truly eye-opening, and I got to gain incredible knowledge on how UN agencies contribute to capacity building in various countries in these areas. When I applied for this internship, I hope to gain practical insight into issues that I'd only studied in a theoretical and academic context. However, as well as being an incredible learning opportunity, this internship had a profound impact on my future career aspirations. The guidance and mentorship of several of my colleagues at VPERM was invaluable and has made me seriously consider a career with Global Affairs Canada after graduation. I believe that diplomacy, while sometimes complex and frustrating, or this summer especially complex and frustrating, is still an incredibly important space for dialogue, and I would love to play a role in this in the future. For students applying for this internship, I'd emphasize that research is key. Really engaging and researching the organizations that VPERM works with, and if possible, connecting your academic background to your application. For instance, I wrote several papers directly related to the issues that I ended up working on, and I think this really helped. In terms of preparation, as Illia mentioned, get started on the visa and housing search early. It's a lot of work. And as you'll be working with Global Affairs Canada on fairly sensitive files, you do need to do a government security clearance, so that's a lot of paperwork, but all of this is very, very worth it. Living in Vienna was an incredible experience, and I made many lifelong friends, and my internship was truly life-changing, both for my career and for my personal life. Finally, I want to say a heartfelt thank you to the Arts Internship Office and the McGill International Experience Award founders, especially Mr. Garvin Brown, for the generous support of the Susan Casey Brown Fund, which made this incredible experience possible. Now I'm going to pass it over to my fellow intern at VPERM, Madison Albert.
Good evening, colleagues, friends, family, donors, and mentors. My name is Madison Albert, and I'm a fourth-year undergraduate pursuing an honors degree in politics, gender studies, and philosophy. This summer, I participated in an internship across the Atlantic in Vienna, Austria. I worked as a multilateral policy intern for Global Affairs Canada with their permanent mission to the international organizations in Vienna. Under the guidance of First Secretary Meredith Henley, I mainly covered Canada's portfolio at the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime, UNODC, but worked on our nuclear portfolio at the International Atomic Energy Agency as well with my colleague Abby. As an intern, I had the opportunity to represent negotiate, and report for our delegation, both to the United Nations and to Ottawa, on soft international law concerning international crime. UNODC covers crime in a very broad way, ranging from crimes committed by state actors, like corruption and bribery, to crime committed by transnational organized criminal groups and corporations, such as crimes against the environment. The wide-ranging understanding of crime, and therefore the broad mandate of UNODC, provided me with a chance to observe the advantages and shortcomings of a multiplicity of injustices being categorized as crimes. Students can assess the politics which shape our universal understanding of what constitutes a crime, and how some global injustices remain legal and therefore non-criminal. While there were many highlights to my internship, the main one has to be representing and negotiating on behalf of Canada at the Intergovernmental Expert Group meeting on crimes that affect the environment in July. I truly recommend this internship to anyone who wants to understand the politics and jurisprudence involved in the drafting of soft international law. In terms of advice to future interns, the best bet I have is to take the same curiosity and light skepticism with which you approach your critical studies into your work. Do not shy away from asking questions about how theory might contradict or indeed complement or explain praxis, simply because you are being paid to navigate the real world as an intern. For a longer list of practical recommendations, I will refer you to William Dufour's speech from last year, which can be found on the Arts Internship Office website. All in all, I want to say a huge thank you to the Arts Internship Office and Ms. Gail Eakin, who in awarding me the Gail Eakin Canada Internship Award made this internship possible. Seriously, a very, very big thank you to the Arts Internship Office and CAPS and the previous interns from last year who gave me a ton of advice, as well as Abby and Illia for all your support this summer. In the upcoming year, under the supervision of Professor Tanya Weinstein in political science, I'll be focusing on a key tension in the multilateral world: the reification of gendered hierarchy through gender-based crime prevention policy. My internship experience has reignited my passion to clear-headedly orient my research around the following ultimate goal: to foster a more just Canada and international order. And with that, I will introduce my next speaker, Isabella Solano.
Hello everyone, my name is Isabella, or Isabella, whatever you want to pronounce it. I'm in my last year at McGill University. I'm majoring in political science, and my minor is social entrepreneurship with the Faculty of Management. During the summer, I had the opportunity to complete my internship at La Maison des Amériques here in Montreal as a social entrepreneurship intern. Maison des Amériques is a community-based organization here in Montreal that works to support and empower Latin American immigrants here in Quebec by offering social orientation, cultural activities, and importantly, business development opportunities. During my time there, I was able to take on projects that combined both communications and cultural outreach. And one of my main accomplishments was based on developing membership campaigns to strengthen the organization ties with local entrepreneurs and local businesses that would further their mission. For instance, I was able to go and develop a sponsorship pitch with a law firm that was able to give them $10,000 to develop their goals in the into the Latino American community here in Quebec. These connections with Latin American entrepreneurs and other businesses was essential for the biggest project that I contributed to, which was securing sponsoring relationships with local enterprises that supported the Maison des Amériques biggest event, which is La Feria Latina, where we showcase different Latino culture and events throughout 3 different days, where 30,000 people were able to see how Latino immigrants work and are part of their culture here in Quebec. For students who are just starting their internship search, my first tip is to be open to other opportunities. Don't only apply to what's in the Arts Internship Office postings. For example, I actually found my internship by firstly volunteering with Maison des Amériques, and then I was offered my internship. So I would say don't limit yourself to whatever is posted in the AOI or whatever is posted online. Don't underestimate the power of a well-written email or well-established connection. And don't feel like there's only one way to to land an internship. If you're rejected from one place, I'm sure you've heard that rejection is redirection. And in fact, I was actually sadly rejected for one of the AOI postings, but that doesn't mean that my career ended there. I continued to look, and then I was able to find an internship through my own way. So then when preparing to apply, I really recommend for you guys to tailor your CV to whatever you're applying to. For example, if you see that the posting has they use specific key terms, specific concepts, then integrate them into your application, into your CV, not in like a fake way, but in a way that you're showing that you understand their mission, that you relate to their mission, and that you're the perfect candidate for them. And for this step, I would highly recommend actually to go to the AOI workshops, because they gave me this tip, and I put that into practice, and it was actually very useful for eventually writing my CV and my cover letter for the internship that I landed. So I would recommend going to these workshops as much as you can, and then also sign up to the mentor-mentee program, because the girl who was a mentor to me also gave me this tip, so really put it into place. And since I also applied to an AOI award, what I would encourage you is to start the process early. Please, please, please do not leave it at the last moment, because, for example, there's a lot of steps that require a lot of time and a lot of planning, that if you don't do it with time, it's gonna go bad. For example, for an AIO award, you need to have a professor recommend your application. So I would say please start in advance to talk with your professor, reach out to them, and make sure they're comfortable with sponsorship your application. So I would say start with time, and don't fear to reach out to a professor. They'll be likely glad to help you. And I would like to especially thank AOI and La Maison des Amériques for making this opportunity possible. It had a huge impact on my life trajectory, and it solidified my idea of going into law and working into immigration law. And I could put into practice a lot of the topics I saw in my management classes, and actually tangibly put them into practice in sponsoring and developing sales pitch. So don't be afraid. The things you're learning, you're gonna put in practice. And finally, I would like to take a moment to express my gratitude to the Arts Student Employment Fund, who was the person who the Employment Fund was able to fund my internship. So there's opportunities for everybody. And I would also like to express my gratitude to Maison des Amériques, who helped me develop this internship. With that, I am pleased to introduce to our next speaker, Gano Carlyle. I hope I pronounce your name.
Good evening, arts interns, faculty, sponsors. Okay. My name is Gano Carlyle-Hozaima, and I'm a fourth-year honors history student. This summer, I got the pleasure of participating in the Arts Research Internship Award under the supervision of Dr. Nolani Arista from the Department of Indigenous Studies and History. Together, we compiled a database of historical newspapers mentioning a diplomatic mission undertaken by Reverend William Richards and Chief Timoteo Ha'alilio, envoy sent to the United States, England, Belgium, and France on behalf of the Hawaiian government in the 1840s. And they sought recognition from major Western nations of Hawaiian sovereignty. So you could say I also did diplomatic work. It was just from 200 years ago. This research compelled us to compare these historical newspapers with other primary sources, predominantly memoirs written by American missionaries who became heavily involved in Hawaiian politics and life beginning in the 1820s. With input from the few secondary articles on this period of Hawaiian history, many of which were written by my professor. I am currently writing an article surveying the available English language historiography of the Hawaiian Kingdom in the 1840s. I decided to apply for an Arts Research Internship Award in fall 2024, and over that semester, I did some basic research on the faculty in the department that I want to intern in, and in January, I reached out to multiple professors who worked in areas of history that I was familiar with or just wished to learn more about. And then I emailed them with information about my work experience, grades, and research interests. My biggest advice for future interns would be to have confidence in yourself and reach out to people who you're genuinely interested in working with. Especially for historical research, I'm planning on using this experience to boost, like my graduate school and to guide me in my future research as a student. So it really meant a lot to me to work in an area that I was genuinely interested in learning more about. I didn't have much experience in Hawaiian history before this opportunity, and I'm really glad that I got to learn more about it. It framed my skills as a researcher and let me learn about a period that's been neglected in mainstream historical canon, but that is relevant to understand the modern world. I feel that learning about Hawaiian colonial experience revealed parallels with settler colonialism in Canada and its consequences on the Indigenous communities there. My internship would not have been possible without the donor for my award, Mr. Mark Gallup. Thank you so much. Also, I would like to give another thanks to my supervisor, Dr. Arista, who's still working with me on this project. We're still writing the paper, and to Jade Perot from the Arts Internship Office, who's been communicating with me from the beginning of my internship and who kindly asked me to speak today. Now, if you'll join me in welcoming our next speaker, Layla. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. I'm Layla. I'm a fourth-year honors political science student here at McGill. And this summer, I had the wonderful opportunity to intern at the Délégation Générale du Québec in New York City. So I'm not gonna lie, from the time I applied to the time I went to the US, a lot changed, and I was kind of scared to move to the United States, but it was a wonderful experience nonetheless. So Quebec, the New York City delegation, is the most important diplomatic representation of Quebec in the United States. So they cover the Mid-Atlantic region, which includes the New York province and the New York state, sorry. So they do a lot of important work in culture, in the economic sector, a lot of work which I thoroughly enjoyed. During this internship, my main accomplishment was that I was actively engaging in Quebec's diplomatic activities. So I stayed on top of their political affairs. I actually co-wrote with my co-intern a diplomatic report about the elections, mayoral elections happening in a few months in New York. I attended a few receptions alongside the Canadian delegation, which was really nice, and attended cultural events, which I really enjoyed and made for great networking. And finally, I gained firsthand insight into how trade and economic partnerships were built through diplomatic ties between Quebec and the United States. So I thoroughly enjoyed my experience. I never thought I would be representing Quebec abroad, but I just want to say that I applied to the AIO 3 years in a row, and I got it on my last year. So to never give up, no, genuinely. So first time I got a refusal, it was fine my first year, but I just thought of it as not the end goal. I got an internship in government, in Quebec government. I got a research internship, and in the third year, I just saw this one internship, and I only applied to this one, and I told myself this is what I truly want, and I managed to get it, so I'm very happy about that. And thank you so much to the AIO. So for those of you considering the AIO internship or the Quebec Délégation Générale du Québec internship, my biggest tip is to start early. I think the applications come out in maybe October or November, the postings, but I was in September already looking at last year's applications and kind of finding which ones I really liked. So I looked for roles that match my interests and my career goals, which are working in maybe Quebec and federal politics and also in diplomacy. Also, something that was really important that I did beforehand and after was reaching out to past interns because they told me about their experience, what were their main tasks they were doing, so I could really tailor my CV and my motivation letter with that. So yeah, I also reached out. I went to a few workshops of the AIO, and I highlighted my relevant experiences working for the Quebec government, working in environmental research, and also in extracurricular clubs at McGill, in student journalism. So the ARIA services were really important to me, and they really helped me because I did move to a whole new city on my own for the whole summer. So they were there supporting me throughout the summer. I never totally felt alone, and even though nothing I had no problems. Having that contact throughout the summer provided like reassurance and a sense of security, especially in America right now. So yeah, I just want to say that this experience has been transformative for me. Like at 22-year-old, I never thought I would be working in diplomacy in New York City for the summer. I really enjoyed it, and it kind of like just confirmed my goal of wanting to pursue public policy and international affairs for grad school and for a future career. And I just want to say thank you to the Dean of Arts Development Fund for supporting this internship. New York is a very expensive city, so it really helped me. Thank you so much, and I want to hand it over to my co-intern, La Salugal.
Merci, Leila. Good evening, everybody. My name is La Salugal. I major in international development with a double minor in economics and social entrepreneurship. And I've just entered my 4th year here at McGill, with this being my last semester here. So over the summer, I also had the privilege of interning at the Quebec government office in New York, also known as the Délégation Générale du Québec à New York, in the Communications and Governmental Affairs Department with my now dear friend Lila. So during my time there, I got to participate in the organization of events and conferences with aimed at promoting Quebec's economic growth by maintaining and fostering trade relations with US-based companies. I got to meet officials of the Quebec government and work closely with the team to prepare their institutional visits, receptions, and speeches. And finally, I worked closely with the communications attaché to develop interactive content for the office's social media pages, even being charged with creating content and a posting schedule over the course of a month to celebrate the office's 85th anniversary. I was told to give you some tips. As the last speaker, I'll try to at least bestow some new knowledge onto you guys. So I found the internship through the AIO postings. I started early, right around this time in the year, looking at the ones I was most interested in, getting familiar with the requirements, and starting to draft and tailor individual cover letters and CVs. I definitely didn't stop at the AIO postings. I browsed the web. I reached out to any and all contacts in my entourage, whether that's friends or family or the guy that knows a guy that knows a guy that knows a guy. I definitely recommend casting as wide a net as you can. You can never have too many opportunities. For drafting your cover letters and CVs, or preparing for interviews and even preparing for the actual internship once you get an answer back, I'd really recommend getting familiar with the internship posting. Look at all the requirements, find something in your life that shows you have experience in that domain, whether that's from your personal life, your professional life, extracurriculars. Blend all of your experiences together to paint the picture of a really complete and qualified applicant. And actually get to know the company or the organization as well. Browse their entire website, read articles about them if there are any, get to know their primary missions, goals, and accomplishments. Find out what it is that they need and make that be you. Someone that really helped me during this process was my AIO internship mentor. I definitely recommend you all sign up to get one. Mine answered every question I had, helped me with my cover letters, talked to me about her experience, and since everyone's experience is totally different, it's always helpful to get that second perspective. The AIO office also has really good services. I personally went to the CV workshop. I quickly realized that I was doing about everything wrong. So I completely remade mine from scratch, and it was really helpful. And also Jade, so active. I must have sent her like an email a day during the application process. I'm sorry. But anyways, do not hesitate to reach out to the AIO. They're so helpful, so active, very helpful. So this was actually my first internship, and I really went in with no expectations. I brought my camera with me, and at the very first meeting, I told them I was really interested in creating content for them and boosting their social media presence. They were really thrilled, and it ended up being most of my duties there. So that just goes to show that your internship is really what you make of it. Obviously, the team there will have work for you, but if you're passionate about something, go for it. Be proactive, propose project ideas, be creative, because if you do that and you're lucky to be in an office that admires that initiative, then you're sure to have an amazing and formative experience. Personally, I gained so much experience in the communications sector with social media management, and particularly in a government setting, which has very specific guidelines that have to be followed. And I'm so grateful for Dario and Elizabeth Merefeld-Galindo, who sponsored the award I received. They aren't here tonight, but thank you very much. The award really paid for my accommodations in New York, which, as you all know, is not cheap. So it was a huge financial burden lifted off my shoulders, and it really allowed me to focus and give my internship 110%. So that's about it for me. Thank you all for listening. I hope I was somewhat helpful, and don't hesitate to come up and have a chat. If you have any questions, I'm here.
All right, I know we are a little bit over time, so I will try to make my thank you remarks very quick. But again, as many have mentioned, all of our internship postings come with an award, or if you find your internship, you could also apply for an award to support your internships, and that would not be possible without the support of our generous donors. Oops. My apologies. Some of them being in attendance tonight as well. In the summer, we had over 150 students receive close to $700,000. So again, thank you for all of your support. We also have additional bursaries available for students who meet the need-based criteria. So just to keep in mind as well, if you are going into your internship search. Thank you as well to our partnering organizations who welcome students every summer and offer mentorship and opportunities. Finally, again, stay informed, and a huge thank you to our donors, and I will come to our drop-in hours. Our staff as well, I'm so sorry guys, I have to skip through this, but they are at the back. They can answer, they're all past interns as well, and can answer all your questions. And finally, closing remarks from the Dean of the Faculty of Arts, and thank you all again. A big round of applause.
Shouldn't have cut short the thank yous to the folks who keep the Arts Internship Office running. So thank you, even though you have to look at me instead of beautiful images of you. I want to thank everyone for attending this evening. It is truly a pleasure each September to listen to students describe the internships they've just completed and how it's enriched their experience in McGill. And you know, every year it sounds like it's the same words about how meaningful the experience was and how much students have learned. But every year it is so meaningful. It's clear as each of our interns describes what they did and what they learned, it's clear how impactful the experience has been, and you can really feel it just hearing them present it. So it is really wonderful. Through the internship opportunities, our students are immersed in new contexts, they're challenged to expand their horizons and emerge more creative and more curious than they were even going in. So I want to thank all the speakers today for sharing their experience. And of course, I also want to thank our donors, without whom these opportunities without our donors, these opportunities would not be possible. And so we're looking forward to another year ahead. I want to shout out in particular to one effort. As some of you already know, the Arts Internship Office recently celebrated the successful completion of its endowment campaign. And this was a campaign to endow the office itself, the people, to allow for us to employ people like Jade and our student support to have the office be able to operate smoothly and seamlessly no matter what the circumstances at the university might be. And so so we've managed to conclude that campaign. In recognition of the tremendous support we received, the AIO will be renamed the David M. Culver Center, Arts Internship Office in the coming months. This milestone honors the vision of David M. Culver, a proud McGill alumnus and former Alcan CEO, who championed global citizenship, cultural diversity, and collaboration. The core value of the Culver Center, global citizenship, emphasizes embracing different perspectives, fostering empathy, and building an open-minded, sustainable future. Joining the center and the AIO strengthens both initiatives and advances our mission of developing global citizens. We have new partnerships for internships in the works for next year, and I want to encourage all the students thinking of applying for summer 2026 opportunities to have a look not only at the opportunities that you've been presented with today, but also the new ones that have emerged. And also, in particular, for the ARIA program, which offers our arts undergraduates the unique experience of undertaking research under the direct supervision of a faculty member. And you heard a bit about some of those experiences this evening. So don't hesitate to use the resources that are available to you before you apply or get in touch with the Arts Internship Office. That's also been a recurring theme this evening about how helpful the Arts Internship Office is as you prepare your applications. So on this note, I'd also just want to repeat the invitation that Jade issued earlier. There's an upcoming ARIA poster showcase event on October 21st, and that information about where and when is on the AIO website. So thank you once again for joining us this evening, and there's a reception until 7, and that will be unveiled, judging from the napkin, the tablecloth over the glasses there. But in the meantime, feel free to ask one another questions and to circulate, and have a wonderful evening. Thanks so much.
Just want to reiterate, indeed, skipping thank yous is not a good way to go forward. So the details about the event are here as well for everyone. Obviously, the website has been mentioned many, many times. But again, a huge thank you to our speakers, our donors, all of our supporters, and all of you and your attention tonight. Again, we'll be around until 7. And again, a last round of applause. Thank you so much.